Welcome back to the channel, peeps. Vesper Radius was never really a strong Warlock exotic in the past, but recent changes to it have made it absolutely viable in all content, and paired with the right weapons and Arc 3.0 build, it can help even carry you and your fire team through GM nightfalls, whilst making Master Lost sectors a literal joke. This build is super fun, and we are going to break the whole thing down, from weapons to arc setup, mods, artifact perks, and much more. Slap that like button if you find the video informative at any stage. It will help towards achieving YouTube partner, which is just a matter of time. Let's begin. Let's start with the exotic first, the exotic Chestpiece of Vesper Radius. Used to only damage combatants when casting a rift. Now, rifts continuously emit arc shockwaves that blind targets if you have an arc subclass equipped, and your rift recharge rate is buffed significantly when surrounded by combatants. What the perk doesn't tell you is that if you are surrounded by more than 6 combatants, your rift recharges by 1500%, in other words, in a matter of seconds. It's nasty at close quarters and can be used to trap CQC combatants, blinding them and wiping them out while standing in a healing rift, getting overcharged arc souls that do a lot of damage, having enhanced damage resistance, high ability uptime, and much more. Continuing with the build components, we have another exotic that, paired with Vesper, grants a lot of ability energy. The exotic trace rifle, Coldheart, when fully revved up, does increased damage and spawns arc traces while continuously damaging combatants. I had not picked this up since its recent damage buffs, and oh boy, it's strong now. While standing in a Vesper Rift, you are essentially immune while going to town on champions and bosses with Coldheart, gathering traces which feed into all your abilities for high uptime. On the subject of high ability uptime, popping rifts when surrounded can also give you a generous amount of super energy. By slotting a couple of dynamo mods on your helmet, this will give you a very short cooldown between super activations, especially in ad-heavy encounters. Having focusing strike and bolstering detonation equipped on your gloves also grants rift energy when damaging combatants with melee and grenades respectively, with outreach and bomber granting back melee and grenade on popping rifts, helping keep up all your abilities apart from the trace feeding from Coldheart. In endgame content, this build can stun any champion too in the current season. Having Overload Trace Rifle enabled on the artifact, alongside Anti-Barrier Auto Rifle, will also allow you to have a 25% damage buff to both Coldheart and your choice of Kinetic Slot Auto Rifle. For the sake of choice, I went with Rifter's Fury. Then for Unstoppables, your Vesper Rifts can stun them, alongside Flashbang Grenades, and thanks to the constant upkeep on abilities, you won't have a problem getting your grenades back. In terms of your Arc 3.0 setup, aspects-wise, Arc Soul is a very important part of this build, granting Arc Seekers when popping rifts that become supercharged when amplified, which, with this build, will be always thanks to Electrostatic Mind. Defeating Arc debuff targets or ability kills spawn traces, and traces picked up make you amplified, meaning all those Arc traces generated from Coldheart are keeping your amplification and overcharge Arc Soul going. In terms of fragments, Spark of Resistance makes you resistant when surrounded, perfect for popping rifts in the middle of a gunfight, while Spark of Instinct jolts nearby targets if your shields drop. Popping that rift when wounded will send any red bar into oblivion. Beacons will allow Coldheart kills to blind surrounding enemies, and finally, Amplitude will grant orbs of power when getting multi-kills whilst amplified. As you can see, this build becomes nuts. Arc Rifts periodically blind combatants caught within it, Arc Souls going to town on nearby enemies, constant ability regeneration, Rifts immediately available after the original one expires. It's absolutely insane. Even in GM difficulty, it allows you to be aggressive and allows you to have freedom on what heavy to run based on the elemental surge of the activity. With this build, it becomes silly when you add the artifact perks. Amped Up grants 5 extra seconds to Amplified, Thunderous Retort grants a damage buff to your Arc Super, in this case Chaos Reach, Electric Armor grants even more resistance when amplified, Countercharge when stunning a champ grants armor charges, which can feed into Arc Surge mods equipped, Lightning Strikes twice buffs grenade regeneration on throw, and then Shock and Awe rains down lightning strikes on enemies when defeated by Arc, including those Arc Soul kills. Throw this entire build together and you have a solid build that can perform in any content. It makes Gambit hilariously fun, it makes any Lost Sector run trivial, GM Nightfalls become easy mode, the list of possibilities goes on. For those of you that want a deep dive look at this build, a dim link will be in the description. That's it folks, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm due to go on holiday and planning a review of the Until Its Return Shotty, which might surprise you, if I can get it out in time. If not, I will see you in a couple of weeks. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for future content. So close to partnership status. This was Plasma Alchemist, your viewership is much appreciated. Until next time, see ya later.
Guardian!